friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here with a new video for you. If you notice anything different, that is because I have switched to a new camera. I'm officially filming with a GoPro Black and I am really excited. Steve got me this for a birthday present and I am super grateful to him for continuing to support my channel in all these different and great ways. He's been helping me test run it and do all sorts of things to make sure that it's exactly what I'm wanting and that I'm hoping for in the quality of this video. So let's just go ahead and dig right in. Today we are going to do my rest of July wrap up. Yes, I know it's late. Please forgive me. Life has been crazy because we've been figuring out all of this. Everything else was filmed like previous to owning this. Real quick, I did participate in the reading rush in July. I will leave the vlogs linked for you to talk about all of those because I consumed quite a bit and we would be here all day if I opted to talk about that in this video as well. So I'm just gonna leave those linked if you're curious about any of that. But I read like over 5,000 pages that week. It was a busy one. Some of those things will be alluded to a little bit in this video, but I ended up genuinely enjoying my experience with the reading rush. And so now that we're like a minute and a half in, let's actually get into what I read in the latter half of July. I guess I should mention that the first half of July wrap up will also be linked down below because I read a bunch in the first half before the reading rush. So I've got that, and then I have the reading rush stuff, and then I've got everything else. And we're going to talk about the everything else. To change things up a little bit as well, I know this intro is forever long, please forgive me. I'm gonna talk about the manga first and then we'll talk about the book. So if you were watching my vlogs, you saw me read the first 3 volumes of Dawn of the Arcana. Well, this happened. And it was amazing. I have a full dedicated review to Dawn of the Arcana. It's a spoiler-free review on this channel, so I will leave that linked for you to check out. But essentially, this is a fantastic fantasy shoujo that's 13 volumes long. We follow Princess Nabucca, and Nabucca is our red-haired princess who is sent to the neighboring kingdom to marry Prince Caesar, and she is frowned upon for her red hair. It's very political. It's great. Highly recommend the series as a whole. Definitely check it out. Let's dig into the rest of the manga while we're at it here. So we've got Dream and Sun Volume 9. This is a dorm-style shoujo story that I'm really loving. I'm interested to see. There's only a volume, I think only 1 volume left of this, maybe 2 at most, but we are almost done. I don't know how this is going to end. I have all sorts of feelings. It's going to be interesting to see how Takano chooses to end this. Yes, that's all I can really say right now without diving into spoilers. But you guys know I really like this. This is from the same creator as Orange, and I love it as a whole. Zen is like my son. I just want the best for him. If I were choosing who she'd end up with, it would be with Zen. I don't think that's going to happen though, and I'm really sad about it. But anyways, please go read it. It's really fun. Next on this list, we have Our Dreams at Dusk, Volume 2. This is a queer manga written by a non-binary mangaka, which makes it very revolutionary. This delves into the dark emotional side of the LGBT community and with people identifying in various different fashions, learning how you identify and all of those kinds of things. There is a little bit of a love and lots of crushing going on in all of this as well. And I just think it's really powerful. I highly recommend people check it out. I think it's really well done and solid, and the art style is absolutely beautiful and whimsical to boot. Then we have Love in Focus Volume 3, which is the final volume of this series. This is a short 3-volume, another boarding house style shoujo manga. Boarding house styles are kind of in right now, and this one ended perfectly in my eyes. It couldn't have ended any other way. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Know that I really enjoyed it, and because it's a 3-volume series, just go ahead and pick it up and enjoy. Next we have Waiting for Spring Volume 11, which gave me all of the best feels in the entire world and made my heart so happy. I am all about waiting for spring, especially now. It's going to be really interesting to see, because I believe this ends at 13 volumes. I'm not sure. We're current with Japan, and I think I heard that it ends at 13 volumes. So we only have a couple more left. With where the story's headed, there was really only room for a couple more, but anyways, I'm genuinely excited. If you have not checked out Waiting for Spring, This is a shoujo manga where we have a shy girl who befriends the boys on the basketball team. And all the girls at school are jealous because she gets to spend time with the gorgeous basketball team. But there's a loophole because they're not supposed to date. And so, yeah, it's really good. I really enjoy it. Definitely Team Toa. Next, we have another favorite, which is Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts, Volume 6. Oh, I loved this volume so much. I continue to love this with every installment. This is one of my favorite shoujos ever. And that's saying a lot, because you guys see my shelves. I read a ton of shoujo. But this one is absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend. This is a very politically driven story. We're dealing with other parts of the kingdom that we haven't visited yet. And it ended up coming about in the most beautiful, heartwarming way. Oh, I just love it. Yes, so much. And we get to see more of the friendship between the two here on the cover, which was great. I really love seeing their friendship. It just warms my heart so much. And yes, so highly recommend Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Now we have a couple of newer manga, and the first one being Skullface bookseller Honda-san. This is volume 1. This is a slice of life style manga about Honda-san, here on the cover, working in a bookstore in Japan, specifically working with like foreign customers. It's funny and hilarious and full of shenanigans, and I love it. I'm on board for the series. I think it's going to be a great time. So again, highly recommend. And then last but not least for the manga portion is one that I ended up really enjoying, but I know it won't be for everyone, and that is Secretly I've Been Suffering About Being Sexless by Togame. This is one about a married couple who, as they've been married, the wife wants to have lots of sex, but the husband is not having any of it. He doesn't want sex. And so it's really interesting to watch them figure out, we're primarily following the wife in this one, but watching her figure out how to handle that kind of a situation within her marriage was really amazing to me. I ended up really genuinely enjoying this for the fact that it felt so real. It felt realistic. The reasons why they weren't having sex, which they do explain in this volume, are real, like legitimate, real reasons. And so it made all of it more believable. How they handled the situation was very believable. You know, it got to the point where she's like, am I not pretty anymore? Am I just not turning him on the right way? How can I turn him on better? Like, she goes through everything she possibly can, and they finally get the reasons why he's feeling that way, and they're able to move forward from there. This is just so good. It's kind of autobiographical from what I was getting at the notes at the end. So this is one I highly suggest people pick up. I think it's really well done, and anything Togame wants to come out with later, like, I'm on board. I'm here for it, because I think Togame's, one, the art style is fantastic, and two, I just think the story was very well told, and it's all contained in this one volume, and I think it's fantastic. So definitely check this one out. All right, here we're going to talk about some books. I have a couple of audiobooks I want to mention. Briefly, I kept going with the Soulwood novels, so I have the second audiobook that I finished, which was fantastic. I continue to like where the story's headed. This is a series, I would call it more of an urban fantasy series than a romance series. I think in the later volumes it becomes more romancy, but right now it's really not, and I'm really enjoying it for that. I think it's fantastic, and I strongly suggest you guys check it out if you like urban fantasies at all. We're dealing with like werecats, so like wereleopards, and vampires and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's definitely urban fantasy, but yeah, I highly suggest checking it out. And then I also did, okay, well, I can't remember what the title is, but it's this one. It's a Tessa Bailey, and it was really well done. I'm listening to the sequel to it right now, and this one I finished right at the beginning of the reading rush, but it was so well done. Highly recommend. It was so, so good. These are like dirty, filthy, like fixer up for sure. This one we're dealing with like a mob boss and an undercover cop, which sounds really like funny and cliche, but I really like how Tessa Bailey went about it. So The audiobooks are really good for the series, so I recommend the audiobooks if you're interested in that. But if you're just interested in reading them, the story itself is really good too, so definitely check that out. And then the last audiobook for this wrap-up is Navigating the Stars by Maria V. Snyder. This is a sci-fi done by the same person who does the Poison Study series, and I really liked how they handled this. I hope there's more in the series. It's definitely set up for more, because this is a first book, obviously. And they could leave it alone and not ever go back to it, but I really hope Maria decides to go back. And essentially we're following a teenage girl who has to leave all her friends behind on a planet because her parents are getting transferred for their job. But as you travel through space, there's time dimensions and stuff. So basically 50 years will pass for her friends on that planet by the time she reaches her new planet, and it'll have only been 90 days for her. And so anyways, as they get out of the time crinkle, as they call it, they discover that this planet has gone silent, basically that everyone on the planet is dead. And so it becomes this mystery to figure out what's going on with that and how it's tied to the project that her parents are working on. It's really good. I definitely enjoyed it and highly recommend checking it out. It was just a really fun space opera almost style thing as they travel through space. And there's lots of other things going on. It's really interesting, really fun. Definitely in Maria V. Snyder's like writing style, and it was really, really good. And now I just have a small group of books to talk about. So the first one I've got here is Craving by Helen Hart. I read the next 2 books in this series during the reading rush, so you can follow up there to see more of my thoughts on this series. Now, my biggest thing with Helen Hart's writing is I feel like these are deliciously smutty, but I feel like the smut is written in a dated way. So I don't know if these are like republishes of an older series or what's going on with that, but I do feel like the way the smut is written, it is a bit dated and may turn some people off to it. But there's a lot of smut and it's good. And I really enjoyed this. You're dealing with 2 people who feel broken in different ways. We're dealing with a soldier who was abused as a child, as well as a woman who was left at the altar after a lackluster, long relationship. And so she moves in with her best friend, and she happens to be living at home, and her brother, our tortured soldier, is living there, and things start to blossom between the 2 of them. It's really interesting. It's really good. There's a whole saga. I have the second, trilogy, which is the second arc of the story on my shelf, which I'm hoping to get to this month. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of this. I also have And We're Off by Dana Schwartz. This was one of my Book of the Month picks. This is one that I didn't end up loving as much as I was hoping to. Essentially, this is about a girl who's been given a trip to go abroad for the summer and study art after a fashion because of her grandfather who inspired her art. And her mom basically decides to tag along on this trip and almost tries to hijack the entire trip. So we're dealing with a mother and daughter learning to grow closer together while they're abroad, and it was fun. It did its job. I was just hoping to have a little more from it. I do think part of that is because it was so short. It definitely could have taken another 50 pages at least, because I don't even think this was quite 300 pages. So if it had taken another 50 and fleshed out a couple parts, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. But it did its job. So if you're looking for something simple and fun, dealing with travel abroad, I think And We're Off could do that for you. But yeah, I was just hoping for a little more from this one. Next we have The Devouring Gray by Christine Lynn Herman. I buddy read this with Lindsay over at Lindsay Tut, and we had a great time reading it. And in this one, we follow 4 teenagers in a small town. One has just moved to this small town for the first time because her mom took off when they were really young. But we're dealing with found families. There are definitely hints of Riverdale and spooky forests. Some people compare it to the Raven Boys, and I can see that a little bit, but not heavily. There's a little bit of that, but not a lot. And anyways, it was interesting. I would say 3.5 stars. There's definitely some really cringy things that happen, hence the 3.5. But I'm invested enough that I will most likely check out the second book and see how that goes. I will probably check it out from the library and then decide from there. But I liked the momentum towards the end of the book. This setup book wasn't the strongest, but I believe this was her debut as well. So I am looking forward to see how she grows in the following novels. And last but not least for this list is Nancy Springer's The Oddling Prince. Now this one, Nancy Springer is a really renowned author, but this one just fell a little flat for me. So again, we're looking at a 3-star rating here. I wanted more from this. I was just left wanting from a few of these books. Actually, all of them. All of these are in the 3-star range, all 4 of these books. This is one that was on my shelf you guys picked out for me to read, and I really thought I was going to enjoy this a lot more than I did. There was kind of like this insta love between 2 brothers kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't ever like fully romantic, but it felt that way, and it just was kind of icky feeling. Like, it just felt wrong from the word go, and it just made the rest of the book really kind of weird as it sat. It just hit wrong. That's the easiest way to describe it. So again, 3 stars. I would try Nancy Springer's writing again because she has very beautiful prose, but this one was not my favorite, and it was kind of a fail for me. So friends, that is it for my second half of July wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the quality of this video, if you noticed any difference, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.